Hi, it's Carl Allen. Welcome to Module 8 Implementation. This is the final implementation lesson for Dealmaker Empire, and you've almost made it. First, I want to review the key takeaways from the Module 8 lessons and set your homework. There's a lot still to be done to get your deal across the line. So we covered 4 things in Module 8. In Lesson 1, we talked about term sheets, that letter of intent, and building that closing plan. Lesson 2, we walked through how to build your deal team. While Lesson 3 was about due diligence, and Lesson 4 was all about the legal documents and the legal process. So back to Lesson 1, we covered what is an LOI, a letter of intent, how you create one, how to build a closing plan, and then the importance of having a financing term sheet. There's a downloadable LOI template you or your lawyer can fill in, though your lawyer will likely have their own template they'll want to use, which is fine too. The key point is that it's really important to get organized at this stage and build your closing deal plan. So use the sheet that I've given you as a starting point, put all of your people in that document with their contact information, then map out all of the things that need to get done over the next 4 to 8 weeks, depending on how your deal is being structured. So all the introductory stuff, the financial, the commercial due diligence, the legal stuff, the legal due diligence, and so on. In Lesson 2, we walk through how to build your deal team, including how you find them and negotiate a contingent fee payment structure. We also revisited the different ways that you can leverage your existing team. For example, your financial controller can help you with some of the due diligence, the forecasting, and mapping the cost synergies that will be rolling through this deal. Your GM, or the person that manages day-to-day operations, can focus on integration planning and sales strategy. And your sales or marketing team can help with commercial due diligence and the cross-selling plans. You'll also need to leverage external people that you hire. These include lawyers, CPAs, accountants, consultants, bankers, financiers, even financing brokers. And I also walked you through how to find contingent fee external advisors. Ideally, you already have those relationships from your existing business. If not, hopefully you started to build them out as part of deal origination. And remember, you need 4 things to get an advisor to work for you on a contingency fee basis: a term sheet from a financier, the letter of intent to buy the business, strong relationships, they need to know you, like you, and trust you, and ultimately want to work with you, and that breakup fee to protect the advisor in case the deal aborts. In lesson number 3, we went through all the different types of due diligence. You have financing due diligence, including the calculation for net current assets, which is really important to update on your term sheet. I walked you through commercial DD, which includes analyzing the market, the competition, sales revenues, profits, etc. Then legal due diligence, making sure that there's nothing really badly wrong with the business, that the seller has the title and the right to it and can sell it to you. We also talked about how the financiers due diligence will overlap on what exactly they'll need from you before cutting you that check. And then we looked at what changes might need to be made to the deal structure as a result of the due diligence reports from your contingent fee advisors. And remember, you're not doing hardly any of this work. You're primarily leveraging your external team. Your job is to be the quarterback, the coach of the team, and just project manage the deal as the deal maker. Then we got into the legal process and the documents in lesson 4. I walked you through all of the different aspects of the legal process, but you need to know what your lawyer is going to be doing so that you can work in tandem with them as they paper the deal for you. So we looked at SPAs, sales and purchase agreements, deferred contracts, shareholders agreements. We looked at retained ownership or consulting from the seller, how property works, and how the pros and cons of equity-based and asset-based deals. And finally, we went through deal structures, how they work with holding codes or topcos or special purpose vehicles, SPVs, as we call them. We went through the big 4 insurances, warranties, guarantees, indemnities, and covenants before we covered funders' contracts and what they'll expect in terms of reporting and their own covenants, the financial rules they'll want you to stick by as you're trading through the funding contract with them. So that's the recap. Now it's time to get to work, guys. A lot to do in the implementation method. This is where you bring everything together. There are only 4 things you need to do. First, get your LOI signed. and make sure you set those sensible net current asset levels for closing. Remember, negotiate that number as high as you possibly can. Ideally, you want it to be the highest number the business has seen within the last 1 to 2 years. Second, go about hiring your deal team. Get your external people involved and part of this deal. Get them in your team and incentivize them with contingent fees or pieces of equity in the businesses if you need to. Third, make sure you have a signed LOI, a signed financing term sheet, and a breakup fee clause. And make sure you're building those relationships. Do almost none of this work. You're a deal manager at this stage, and then project manage the work that's being done, the due diligence, the legal documentation, and the funding requirements. So that's the homework for this week. Let me just wrap up by walking you through what happens at closing. The day before closing, all the financiers that are participating in this deal, whether it's an SBA lender, whether it's an asset-based financing, a cash flow loan, whether it's equity investors, all of these lenders, once they're ready, they'll put their funding into legal escrow. So you can't close the deal until all your funds are in escrow with your lawyer. And the money in escrow won't move until you've signed all the paperwork to take ownership of the business. So once the funds are in place, they're all sat there waiting, you'll sit down and you'll sign the final papers. And then on the day of closing, you'll typically roll up to your lawyer's office or the lawyer of the seller, or you could do it remotely. All of the legal documents are prepared, they're ready for signing, the financier is ready, everything's ready. You sign all the documents, the SPAs and all the other documents that we went through in the legal section. Then there's a whole bunch of ancillary documents like bank mandates, government notifications that you'll sign. You might be signing for an hour. There might be thousands of pages. The last deal I signed my name almost 200 times. There were lots of different copies. There were copies for the SBA. There were copies for everybody. So your hand's going to hurt, but don't worry about it. It's a great time. You sign all the documents. As soon as that happens, while the ink is still drying on all the contracts, the funds will transfer. So this works exactly the same as it does if you're buying real estate. It's a really big deal. The business is now yours. At this point, your lawyer will take the money that's in escrow. They'll wire the closing payment to the seller's lawyer. They'll also wire any surplus cash left over from the money being transferred into your new business's bank account. In other words, if you've raised $1 million and you pay $900,000 at closing, the $100,000 goes into your business bank account. Then you could do one or two things with it. You'll pay off the closing costs and you'll pay your contingent fee advisors. Anything that's left, that stays within the business. Do whatever you want. On the seller's side, the seller's lawyer will take their fees out and will cover any other closing costs. And then the balance of the money will go into the seller's personal bank account to do whatever they want with it. And now it's time to celebrate. Go out for lunch, or if it's a morning signing, drink some champagne, go out for dinner if you're doing it later in the afternoon. You just had a massive achievement, guys. Party like it's 1999. And after you've done celebrating, as soon as humanly possible, go visit your new business and meet your team if you haven't done so already. Sit down and really get a grip on what you're going to be doing with this business. How is it going to integrate with your existing business? How are you going to start cross-selling and accomplish all of those deal synergies? Those are the magic keys that will drive incredible value in your empire. So that's it, my friends. That is Dealmaker Empire. Make sure you finish really strong. Make sure you implement all of this work in Module 8 and get your deals closed. Get those deals across the line. We'll see you on the call next week to answer any questions you've got. If you're not at the closing stage yet and you just need some additional assistance to progress your deals, you can stay on the weekly calls for a low monthly membership fee. Our member experience team can help you get set up. So that's it, my friends. Go forth and get those deals closed. Make them a masterpiece, my friends. I will see you soon. Until then, bye for now.